Okay, this week's question is, how do we remember everything? So my answer is, we don't. Is how do we remember everything?
How do we remember everything?
I don't.
Yeah.
Simple answer, you can't.
Yeah, no. I think that's one of the tips I'd give. Just accept the fact that you're not going to remember everything.
Yeah, like it's not like A-levels where there's a syllabus, you learn it and you're sorted. It's just like, the more you read, the more there is. Like, you can never get to the bottom of medicine, honestly.
That was one of the hardest things that when I came to med school, the hardest thing to accept was that I'm not going to remember everything. A thing to point out as well is even those at the top of the game still don't remember everything as well. It's just the nature of the course, there is so much to it and there's a lot that we don't know as well, and we're finding out. Yeah, it's not quite possible to remember everything, I'd say.
I don't think you need to know everything, so don't stress yourself out. I definitely don't remember everything.
Yeah, I remember being on placement and like foundation doctors would still go and like they'd still go and then like Google things midway through ward rounds sometimes. So I don't think we have to remember everything all the time.
Yeah, and the BNF is like always there as a backup anyway. Like you never need to know like medications off by heart or anything like that.
No.
Yeah, it's okay not to know everything because there is like high yield questions that you start to work out come up all the time. So not to say don't learn everything, but there are definitely more important topics than others, I've noticed. Like in terms of medicine, everything's constantly changing. Like you're going to be learning new things every day, and something that might have been true yesterday might not be true today. So it's just about like keeping on top, I guess, of things.
Yeah. I said this actually this year to one of the surgeons that I was in theatre with. I was like in a theatre and he was quizzing me on the anatomy. I was like, I don't remember this from first year. I've intercalated last year. But he was like, if you've seen it now in surgery, go and learn it. Go and look it up and then you'll remember it because you've seen it. And I do believe that.
That is definitely true. If you see it on the ward or like in theatre or whatever, you are more likely to learn it.
Don't be a waste man, go to placement as well. Go to placement for sure.
Yes, don't miss placement, yeah?
Yeah, pay your dues.
Do your hours,
pay
pay 9k.
Yeah. Don't skip your clinics.
Yeah, get those docs signed off. Watching you.
The way you are going to remember things is by seeing them on placement. So I feel like there are certain stuff that I've seen, patients that have had certain conditions I've come across on placement that when I saw that specific patient and learned about their journey and sort of what they were going through from everything, in terms of the symptoms they were having, how they're feeling at the time and their circumstances and things like that never leaves your head. So I feel like that's the best way to remember things, is really the things that you see on placement, especially those rare conditions. When you see it, you'll never forget it, or those really gruesome things that you see, especially if you see something that's like textbook, you know what I mean? So like in psych, when you see the patients that actually have schizophrenia and have all those features, it's like, and you see it there in front of you, it's like you're never going to forget that.
Yeah, and I know it's a cliche, but if you've like made a mistake, you'll remember it the next time.
Yeah, if you get quizzed on it on a ward round and you don't know anything, and you're like, and then you go and look it up, then the next time you will know it.
Yeah.
Just repeated exposure. Like, let's say you do a question on diabetes and past medicine, and then you do diabetes on Anki or diabetes and the get ahead books and stuff. The more sources you use and the more repetition, the better.
Yeah.
And that's why on placement, I think placement's a good place to like learn something and then repeat it by seeing it in placement. So
it's okay not to know everything, and I think 5th year I have so much more confidence to say, oh, I'm sorry, I don't know that, and people are fine with it. As long as you're not saying that to everything, but nobody knows everything.
Yeah. So. Especially in 5th year, having come back from an intercalation, there might be something that I've not looked at in literally 2 years, and you think, oh gosh,
oh, actually, I can't remember the hormones of the pituitary gland or whatever. This was what I got quizzed on last week. And you're like, okay. And then they just talk it through it because it is in your brain somewhere. Especially once you've done finals, you get it out of your brain somewhere.
Past medicine.
Past medicine, yeah. Past medicine's a good resource.
Just like repetitive questions.
Yeah, just repetitiveness. Yeah, just repeat.
And like speak to older people because you need to know like very much a limited range of things. And when you're in 30, you're like, this is so much stuff. And then when you speak to older people, you're like, oh, actually, I only need to learn like a quarter of that, and that's all they're going to ask you. And then it's like far less daunting. Just got to be smart with it.
Yeah, you don't need to know. That's one of the things. There's so much you could learn, and the lecturers will make it seem like sometimes that you have to know everything in so much depth about that topic. But it's not the case. You just need to know enough to be a junior doctor, basically, which is, you know, the really important stuff.
Tips would be, I've always said this, is little bits and often. It makes it a lot more manageable, and it seems a lot more bearable as well. And that way you can sustain a better balance when it's the run up to exams.
I mean, I feel like I'm personally quite a crammer, so I just do everything quite last minute. But maybe that's not very good advice to be giving.
I'd say I use like question banks, like there's loads online that are really good to use. That's how I kind of remember everything, because it's repetition, isn't it? You go through things and keep looking at stuff, and yeah.
Do as many questions as you can and cover the main stuff from each like disease or whatever. Don't bother like trying to learn that minute detail because you're gonna forget that. If you know the main stuff, that's what's important. But yeah, questions, that's what I'd say.
But I think sometimes the lectures can be quite long, and the best way to do that, I think what I do is I make like flashcards, and they really help me because I can like solidify and like make the notes really, really small, so that really, really helps me.
Learn the main stuff, and then anything else is a bonus really. But yeah, just like mainly consolidating your knowledge on the wards, making sure you go and see patients with these cases, and then that'll stick better in your brain. And also just like flashcards, just going over stuff loads of times.
I don't know, it's not really about how you remember everything as to like finding out what you struggle with and then focusing on that. Because the things that you like find more interesting, you'll naturally remember more. It's about kind of drilling the harder stuff that you don't really know is what I've found. Like working with other people, bouncing ideas off each other, that all helps.
Like, it's okay if you don't remember everything. Like, they'll ask you questions, but on placement, but they're nice to you. They're asking you to teach, so they don't care if you don't remember. They help you remember. And then I feel like if you get it wrong, you do remember, because you remember like, oh yeah, that doctor told me that it was this, because I couldn't remember that. And stuck there forever.
And I feel like you're working in such a big team all the time anyway. You don't need to know everything. There's always going to be someone there that'll know a bit more. So, yeah.
Mnemonics, definitely. I've got a big PDF if anyone wants them.
You do have a big PDF.
Yeah.